I think it's well settled that Chille isn't the brightest bulb in the box. But today, he really showed his mediocre IQ and his blatant racism. This video takes place in downtown Cleveland, where he tries to just drop in and see the Attorney General of the state of Ohio. I hear that next week he's going to try and stop by the White House and just pop his head into the Oval Office and see if he can get 5 minutes with Joe Biden between meetings. Did he really think he could just show up without an appointment and get a meeting with the Attorney General for the entire state? Well, Chille makes it as far as the lobby. He can't get past the security desk because he refuses to show identification. He then goes about spending 45 minutes in the lobby and he accomplishes absolutely nothing. Well, he does successfully show his ignorance of history and his blatant racism. But before I roll the video, do me a favor, check out one of my new channel trailers and then leave me a comment and tell me what you think of it.
Please re-record your message. At the end of your message, press 1.
Hi, Miss Kennedy. This is Chille DeCastro. I came into your office yesterday and I called you on the phone when they didn't want to let me in because I wouldn't show my identification. I have no problem identifying myself. I just don't want to show my identification when I go to a federally or state-funded building because that's the definition of a security state.
Since there really isn't such a thing as a security state, I think the term Chille actually intended to use is a surveillance state. Surveillance states can, in their simplest terms, be called countries whose governments invest vast amounts of resources in deploying surveillance technology, such as CCTV cameras and facial recognition software, to monitor not only its visitors, but also its own citizens. When you think of true surveillance states, China, Russia, and North Korea should immediately come to mind. To a much lesser degree, even Great Britain has deployed a relatively high number of CCTV cameras. But here, the United States doesn't even come close to being anything near a surveillance state. Showing identification is a legitimate requirement to enter a state or federally owned property. One of the reasons for this is the protection of employees and private citizens who work and or do business within that government-owned or leased facility. There are other concerns as well, of course, such as in case of an emergency, you'd like to know who and how many people are located in the building. If vandalism or damage occurs, it's important to know who committed that vandalism. And these are just a few of the legitimate state interests in having you show identification.
And so I just wanted to leave you this voicemail because now I'm at the State Attorney General's office in Columbus, and I've come here to show him the information we have about James Sheets being murdered.
James Sheets wasn't murdered. Officers attempted to conduct a traffic stop on Sheets. Sheets did not stop and instead attempted to hit a police officer with his car. This led to a high-speed chase through at least two different cities. After crashing his car, Sheets drew a firearm and shot at the officers. Of course, the officers returned fire, killing Sheets. A gun was recovered from the floorboard of Sheets's car. This was not a murder. If anything, it was suicide by cop.
And so I'm coming here to rightfully redress, petition my government, and I have brought some flyers with me that I'll show on camera today. I have absolutely no ill intentions at all whatsoever. I love America. I believe in this country, and so, with how crazy our world is, though, I just wanted to have somebody be on the record.
Why do sovereign citizen types always feel the need to say, "Oh, I want something on the record"? Is it because they heard it on some TV courtroom drama? It's just stupid. Even lawyers don't say that. They will in courts of record, but they don't say it in everyday conversation. And why does he feel the need to use the archaic term of redress my government? Why can't he just say, "I want to talk to my elected officials"? Why did he feel the need to say he loves America? Did somebody question his love of America? It's all just a big old hunk of stupidity that he thinks makes him sound smart, but it actually makes him sound ridiculous.
That I'd already talked to at the State Attorney General's office, so that, I told you yesterday I'd be going to Columbus, and I'd be going to see if I could catch Dave Yost.
Dave Yost is the elected Attorney General of the state of Ohio. As I've stated earlier, did he really think he was just going to drop by the state offices and just catch the elected representative, the state office holder for the state of Ohio? Don't you generally make appointments with people like that? You have to make an appointment with your doctor. You need to make an appointment with your lawyer. I even make appointments with my car mechanic. How did he think he was just going to walk in and just instantly get to see Dave Yost?
And just show him the evidence that we have regarding James Sheets' murder. And so I just wanted to make sure that someone knew that I was here. That's all I was doing. I just want to make sure somebody knew I was here, and that I've come here to peacefully petition, assemble, and redress government. And hopefully, if Dave Yost is in charge of BCI, then the Bureau of Criminal Investigations, then I don't think they've done a very good job, considering that there's so much evidence that would warrant an investigation. And also the cell phone records and the dash cameras. There's, people have sent me dash cameras that there are dash cams mounted in the Struthers cars. If we just had all the video evidence that the people pay for, then we wouldn't be in this position right now, and I wouldn't have to be in Columbus. If all the dash cam video and all the body cam video was simply distributed to the public, we have a right to see it. And so, I'm rightfully indignant that James Sheets was murdered, and it's been over a month, He was murdered April 1st, 2022, and these guys are still at large. If people can't see that it was a murder and a cover-up, they're not looking. They're just not looking. Anyway, Miss Kennedy, I just wanted to leave you this voicemail so there's a matter of record that I've come here to peacefully petition, and that's all I'm here to do. So thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. All my calls are recorded just like this one is, so I'll let you go.
If you are satisfied with your message, press 1 to listen to your message. Press 2 to your message review.
Chille then proceeds to listen to most of his message. I can only assume it's because he likes the sound of his own voice.
You know, I have some suits, right? I have some. Remember, I was an executive in a few different companies in my lifetime.
Chille has never been a real executive in his life. He might own suits, but that doesn't mean he was an executive. I own a wig, but that doesn't make me a drag queen. He pretended to be an executive, but all the companies he talks about were scam companies. They existed only to cheat people out of money. They never conducted any legitimate business. Chille has never had an office. Well, I do take that back. He once did have an office for one of his companies. He was that company's only employee, and he actually lived in that office. He didn't conduct business from there.
And so they're leaving. So I have some suits that are Miami Vice kinds of suits. I just look so, I look just like a lawyer. So.
And I have a Santa suit, but that doesn't make me Santa Claus. I know he's an actor, but he really needs to stop pretending that he's a legal professional.
So I just need a photo ID so I can sign you in.
Oh, I don't have an ID.
Do you have some sort of form of
No, but I mean, I'm on camera. There's, and I'm not armed as you can see, so.
Look, Chille just drove up and parked. He doesn't carry his wallet and driver's license with him. What would Chille do if he suddenly actually needed identification for, say, an emergency? We live in a world where random things really do happen. I'll bet nobody at the Tops grocery store in New York thought there would be a mass shooting that day when they set off to do their shopping. No one expects a car accident. There are just times that people need to keep their identification on their person. The fact that there are cameras all around the building has no bearing on the requirement that he show identification before he can enter the building. The Supreme Court long ago held that showing identification is not a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. So if he really is serious about going up and seeing the Attorney General, he needs to just shut up and show identification.
Yeah. So these are rules that I have to show my identification.
the only thing is we're not allowed to send anyone throughout the building without having a photo ID so we can check you in. But so you don't have a driver's license or anything?
No. See, you see what that says on the back, right? So it's my right to come into a state-funded or federally funded building, and I don't have to show you my identification. That's not.
Wrong again, Chillito. It's true that the government cannot deny people access to places designated as public forums, but it can impose reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. These restrictions must be content neutral, narrowly tailored, and serve a significant government interest. It is content neutral in that everyone is required to show identification. It doesn't single out any particular group. For example, to say that only all Muslims must show identification, but no one else, that would be illegal. But as long as it is applied to everyone uniformly, it's permissible. There are significant government interests, it's public safety being the highest on the list. The requirement that he have to show identification is not a violation of his Fourth Amendment rights.
That's against our rights. And, as you know, being a black man.
I honestly don't even know how to respond to this. Chille, why didn't you just preface this by saying something like, I don't know, you don't even sound black at all? Or maybe you could try and sympathize with him and say something like, oh, I'm really sorry for what my ancestors did to your people. Hell, Chille, let me send you a list of things that you should probably not say to a black person, because you tend to say them all the time.
We have to fight for our rights.
Yes, sir, I
And
understand.
so I'm not armed, I'm peaceful,
Yes, sir.
I have no ill intentions, but
Yes, sir, I understand.
that policy is illegal.
That policy is not illegal. In fact, it has been held many times over that it's not illegal. In fact, it's been held so many times that it is legal that it's not even funny.
It's against my rights, and you guys can be sued for it.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Well, that's your third strike, Chille, so in baseball, you'd be out. But seriously, Chille, no, you can't sue over it. I mean, sure, you could file a suit, and I know you're stupid, so I'm going to have to put this in the absolute simplest terms I can. When you file suit, you need to state a claim. You need to state how were you harmed. And in this particular case, there has been zero harm. There are no Fourth Amendment implications. So what's next, Chille? Are you gonna sue the Waffle House because they burnt your toast? Stop being stupid.
I'm just telling you what the rules are.
Oh, here we go again. No, Chille. The rules were clearly posted at the door. Your dumbass even filmed them, although I cut that part out of the video. Listen to me, because I'm going to say this really slowly, because I know you're stupid. You must. Do you understand the word must? Good. Present. Do you understand what it means to present? It means to show, hand over for inspection. Identification. Do you understand what identification means? It's that little plastic card in your wallet. It'll generally have your picture on it, your name and address, and it was probably given to you when you passed your driver's test. Those are the rules, Chille. That's the rules you have to follow if you want to enter this building.
Of the Constitution.
Oh, Lord. Come on, Mr. Constitutional Scholar. Show me where in the Constitution it says that. Because I can show you a dozen Supreme Court cases where it says that it is not a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. When you say stuff like this, it just tells everybody that you really don't know very much about the Constitution at all.
What should we do then? Because as my job, I'm not even allowed to. You understand? I'm not allowed.
Sure, you might want to call up there, though, and I filed 3 federal civil rights lawsuits last month.
Really?
Yeah. And you guys should definitely learn your rights, because it just so you know, it starts with blacks.
First off, filing the civil rights lawsuit is just the very first step. Anyone can go online and pull up a very rough template of a civil rights lawsuit. That's not where the rubber meets the road. Chille has done a very serious disservice to these people that he has supposedly helped file those civil rights lawsuits, as he is going to leave them in a lurch, unable to complete the process. Chille really has set them up for a costly fall. They aren't going to know what to do as that lawsuit works its way through the pipeline. If their suit ultimately results in a default judgment because they didn't comply with the requirements of the lawsuit, they could be hit with thousands in fines and costs. Chille has put these people in a really tough spot, and then he just up and walks away and leaves them to handle it all on their own. Second, did he just say that these guys should know their rights because they're black? I mean, he might as well have said, you people. It's a horribly racist thing to say. But wait, it gets better. He's about to lecture these guys on black history.
They stripped the rights of black people in the 50s and 60s.
Poor Chille. I mean, he's already shown he doesn't know jack about the Constitution. And now he's going to get black history all wrong too? How can someone this dumb have so many people following him who simply just don't care that much that he doesn't know anything about what he talks about? After the 14th and 15th Amendments passed in 1868 and 1870 respectively, Southern states started passing specific black codes. That's what they were called, black codes, that stripped the rights from African Americans. So-called Jim Crow laws started becoming law in a majority of the southern states by the 1880s. The history only continues from there. So unless Chille is talking about the 1850s and 60s, he really doesn't know anything about his history.
And now the same laws that they created for black people are now being applied to everybody. And so that's why white folks are finally freaking out. I'm being honest with you. This is 100% factual, and I'm a conservative. So I'm not some like BLM chanter. It's not my game.
Say what? So why exactly does Chille feel the need to tell these security guards his political persuasion and his feelings for Black Lives Matter? That's absolutely ridiculous. It's pandering, and I invite anyone who is curious about the term pandering and this type of behavior to go online and Google it.
But yeah, I do support Black Lives Mattering 100,000%.
More pandering. Chille is what is known as a black pander. Not a black panther, but a black pander. A black pander is a person who panders to black people, and these are typically white people, and they do it because of their own guilt, fear, or self-esteem issues. They typically use the race card for their own self-interests. Chille is a black pander when he acts like he cares about racism, but his real goal only is to ingratiate himself with these guards in the hopes that they will bend the rules and allow him to go upstairs. Are you kidding me? What a joke. Chille sure does make sure that his mug is always front and center on camera. And what is with trying to square up his jaw so that he looks tough? I got a hint for you, buddy. It's not working.
I guess the undercover cop didn't want to sit behind me and be on camera.
Chille really does see things that just aren't there, doesn't he? That other guy was already sitting there when Chille walked over. And if you watch the other guy's body language, he's not at all interested in what Chille is doing. But I guess in Chille's mind, everything is always about him. That's his narcissistic personality disorder showing through and rearing its ugly head again. That other guy doesn't even look like an undercover officer. To me, he looks more like one of those IT guys who comes around and fixes your computer.
I guess the undercover cop didn't want to sit there. Because that's definitely an undercover cop. He's sitting over there texting. Look, he's right over there. You see him? He's right over there texting what I'm doing. I mean, it's just so silly.
Silly? That was Chille just being stupid. Get real, dude. Heck, I didn't even see where the guy went. But we all know that people get up and walk around. We know people text in public. I think that the guy saw Chille was filming and he didn't want to be in Chille's shot, so he got up and walked away. And despite what Chille believes, other people do have lives that don't revolve around Jose de Castro. I saw that guy earlier, and he looked back over his shoulder towards the elevators like he was looking for somebody. As we know, that guy could just have easily been looking for his wife to come down the elevators. Could have been his wife or his friend, come down the elevators and go to lunch. And then he got up to not be in Chille's shot and went over and texted her or him asking if they were on their way down. At this point, no one even knows Chille is there. The only things that those security guards at the front desk said was that they would call up to the AG's office and ask them to send someone down to speak with a person. Chille never identified himself to the security guards, so they couldn't have let the AG's office know that he was even there. No one in that building knew that that was Chille.
Look, take a look. You want to know where the money goes, guys? You want to know where the money goes? This is where the money goes. This is where all the money goes. Look how beautiful this place is. Oh, he's leaving? I wanted to get his name and badge number before he's off. I didn't get a chance. I was going to go over there and ask him just now. But he didn't stick around long enough.
Let's look at this logically. Even if the other guy was an undercover officer sent to watch Chille's every move, then why would he leave? This guy exited the building probably because he was just another citizen visiting a very large office building with dozens of offices in it.
For me to ask him what his name and badge number is because, especially if he's a federal police officer, according to the 2020 or 2021 federal badge ID rule, and that's legislation that was passed and signed into law.
There is so much to unpack here, so stay with me. Chille is in a state office building. He is there to visit a state office. So why would the state attorney general send a federal officer to watch him? Okay, now on the second part, this federal ID badge ID thing he's talking about. On this, he is somewhat right, but he's right for all the wrong reasons. The bill that Chille is talking about, and you heard him mention it by name, is called the Badge Transparency Act of 2020. And it's H.R. 7711 or H.R. 7711. And that bill was submitted to the House, and a companion bill was submitted to the Senate. But in both cases, they were subsequently referred to the House and or Senate Judiciary Committee, where they remain stalled. There was a second piece of legislation called the Federal Badge Identification Bill, and that is H.R. 7153, 7153, and that was also submitted to the House and Senate, and it was also referred to their respective judiciary committees, where it also remains stalled. The legislation that Chille is actually talking about, well, he doesn't realize he's talking about it, but he is. There is a provision that was buried very deep in the National Defense Authorization Act. Now, this was just a rider to the Defense Authorization Act, which is generally just a funding bill used to fund the Defense Department and its subordinate agencies. But you know, they're usually, well, not usually, but a lot of times in Congress, riders are attached to these that are unrelated to the companion or the host bill. All right, so in this rider is a new requirement that federal and civilian, that is like local police, personnel actually have to identify themselves if they are responding to a civil disturbance. So it really only pertains to the civil disturbance. And during those periods of time, they're required to wear visible identification, identifying what agency they work for. Now, as we've said, the stated purpose of this is that you can identify them in these large civil disturbances. That would be a protest, a riot like we saw in Washington, the big riots we saw in Portland. So the idea is that you can identify the person and the agency because it's easier to remember a name than it is to, say, have the person just be wearing a black uniform with a badge and a badge number. So that's the only time that it actually pertains, is during these civil disturbances. So Chille is partially right, but for all the wrong reasons. The legislation he's talking about never passed the House, and it is not the law.
If you're a federal officer, then you have to identify yourself upon request of it. Now, are they going to uphold that? Maybe.
Okay, so as I just stated earlier, that the only time that the feds or police, local police, are required to do this is during these civil disturbances. So during a large protest, during a riot, those kinds of situations. I have personally verified this by reading the bills that were set before the House and the Senate, as well as reviewing the Anti-Defamation League, as well as the ACLU. So, as usual, Chille has his facts all wrong. He's partially correct, but again, he's telling you something that's law because of a one particular thing, but he has his facts all wrong. And he's applying it in an incorrect manner. So his application of the law is wrong. So, I mean, this is so typical of Chille. He gives out this information to his supporters and followers, but it's bad information that he gives. I don't know. It just doesn't surprise me that he does this. Hope it doesn't surprise you.
I did call them yesterday and tell them that I was coming. I don't want the government in any way, shape, or form to think that I want anything violent to be done. I don't. You know, I'm against violence.
What a load of crap. Look, I don't want to make this video any longer than it has to be. It's already pretty long. But if I did want to make it longer, I could probably pull 50 examples where Chille contradicts himself, where he gets angry and he goes on these long roid rages about beating up people and ripping their heads off, taking them out in cage matches. Come on, we've all heard these before. He's not against violence. That's a load of crap.
And I have a real nugget for you guys later today. You're gonna see that that over there in Ironton, that you guys remember when I told you that they set a bond for me, and that they set the bond on the condition I couldn't have any interaction with the dirty swine pigs in Ironton, McKnight and Spoljeric and Blankenshit, right? Well, what I did was, when I went to the city council meeting, Pam called the police there. She wrote it in her affidavit. You dummy, Pam. You wrote that we brought the police there because I was coming to disrupt the meeting. You moron. I wasn't coming to disrupt a meeting. I was coming to redress government, and that's where you're supposed to be able to do it, is there. Hey, how you doing, sir? Thank God. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hey.
Jose de Castro.
John Corbin.
This is John Corbin, everybody, from the State Attorney General's office. Did you get prefaced that I was coming? I went to yesterday to Toledo office, and I talked to Chille over there, and now I came here to talk to you guys and kind of show you the evidence that...
What are you hoping to accomplish here today?
I'd like you guys to arrest the police who murdered James Sheets.
All right, I'm going to try and summarize this as quick as I can. All right, we talked about this earlier. James Sheets, the police officers tried to pull him over for a traffic infraction, at which point Sheets tried to run over the officer. They went on a high-speed chase through 2 different cities, at least 2. Some of it was on an interstate. After the police got the vehicle stopped, although I'm not sure whether they pit maneuvered him or that Sheets ran into something, that's really not important. But at that point, once Sheets was stopped, he pulled a gun and he fired at the officers. The officers returned fire and they killed Sheets. Now, here's the important part. There is a full investigation underway by the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to call it the BCI from now on. Now, we've all heard how officers have qualified immunity. And now, obviously, a court can strip the protections of qualified immunity away from an officer. But in general, we know that, well, you've heard it from First Amendment auditors, how they're going to strip their qualified immunity from officers. It's a little harder than that. Generally speaking, qualified immunity protects police, prosecutors, and judges from civil and criminal liabilities when it's they're in the process of carrying out their regular official duties. So if a police officer kills somebody in a situation like Sheets, when he shoots at them and they shoot back and kill, generally speaking, there is qualified immunity. Now, but because of the nature of this shooting, there is an investigation underway by the BCI. They're still investigating the shooting, so while that investigation is ongoing, the officers continue to enjoy the presumption of the immunity. Once the situation is complete, the investigation is finished, the state can seek to have that immunity stripped. because of the outcome of the investigation. But at this point, since the situation is so fluid and the investigation isn't complete, Chille's request that the officers have, somebody go out and just arrest these officers, well, that's really premature. The investigation hasn't gone anywhere yet. It's only been a month. Now, I know that in our daily lives, a month seems like a long time, but in terms of an investigation like that, it can take a lot longer than that. I can tell you from experience. Things could change, but right now, you just have to let the investigation proceed. If Chille wants to submit copies of videos, body cam videos, videos he's gotten from bystanders who filmed from, across the street, where I know he has a video of a guy standing across the street who filmed, he can submit all of that stuff. But really, there are steps that have to be followed. And Chille just wants to go from, well, I've given you this, so now you could go arrest. That's not how it works. It's like his federal civil rights lawsuits. Just filing the suit is not the end, doesn't mean you've won. It's not the end. Just filing is just the start. There are steps that have to be followed all in between before you get to the end. In this case, there are steps that have to be followed before you could ever get to the point of these officers being arrested. This is what frustrates me so much about Chille.
I mean, it's all broke down on video. I mean, you can see it. You can see them plant a gun.
I'm not that guy.
Who are you then? Why are you talking to me?
I'm not going to go through this.
No, I don't understand. Go through what? You want to stay off camera? I can leave you off camera. But I no problem. Just ask me. I'm not going to be rude to you, dude. I'm here to get help. I'm not going to be rude to you. I'll leave you off camera. No problem, dude. If that's what you want. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know who you are or what you want.
I'm a journalist, sir.
Chille is not what I would consider a true journalist. Journalists report on stories. They don't make themselves part of the story. Chille would not be what would be traditionally considered a journalist. And by that I mean traditional journalism. Those generally include the media that we're all familiar with. Things like television, radio, newspapers, magazines, like Time magazine, Newsweek magazine. And then, of course, those do have some online offshoots like, let's say, wallstreetjournal.com. Those outlets are regulated by media law, and they have press ethics that are generally well-established written ethics. The New York Times, for example, is known to have a very high ethical standard about what they report and how they verify their facts. Those traditional mediums are generally regarded as bastions, if you want to call them that. But they're the reliable news sources of the day. So CNN.com, CNN, MSNBC. Now, you could possibly consider Chille to be what are now known as citizen journalists. I can tell you that in academia, citizen journalism is not taught in traditional journalism schools. Citizen journalists typically use platforms like blogs, podcasts, social media, and of course, obviously, YouTube. But in these systems, there's no gatekeeper. There's no editor. There's no written form of ethics. Traditionally, there's not really a lot of law that applies to these. There's absolutely no training required to call yourself a citizen journalist, and there's no professional credentials. But let's just say you accept that Chille is in fact a citizen journalist. Here, he's got a stated purpose. He has an agenda. He is here on behalf of the Sheets family to deliver what he calls evidence to the Attorney General's office. That puts him as part of the story. So he's already stated that he wants the officers to be arrested. Uh, he's not providing an unbiased coverage of the shooting. He's being an active participant in all of it. Now, the person he's talking to just told Chille, that he doesn't even know who he's talking to. Chille never identifies himself. Again. Now, I know Chille likes to think that everybody in the world knows who he is, but in all seriousness, not everybody does. So the man, he doesn't know who Chille is. He doesn't know what Chille's goals are. And when Chille turns the camera onto him, he doesn't want to be part of the Chille show. So he tries to walk away. And that's what it is. Chille's not truly a journalist.
Just like you have recording here, and you have recordings
I'm
everywhere.
recording everything.
No, I know, but
Don't talk to me. Turn this off. If not, I'm leaving.
Oh, okay, what do you want to talk about? What can we do?
Turn it off.
Why would I want to? I'm a journalist. I don't understand why you would leave, sir. I'm telling you about a guy who was murdered by the cops. I'm not going to get any more help. I don't understand, sir. I don't. Why? I'm finished.
This is what's so frustrating about Chille. I don't blame the guy at all. I wouldn't want to come down and be ambushed by somebody who doesn't even have the courtesy to say his name to me, and then wants to put me on a live stream in some form of, like a 60-minute style ambush journalism. I don't blame the guy for wanting to walk away.
He said, "I'm finished in here." So I'm at the state attorney general's office, and the guy doesn't want to be on camera. I don't really understand. I don't really understand how that just happened. I don't really understand.
Well then, Chille, you're a bigger idiot than I even thought you were. And believe me, I already thought you were a pretty big idiot. Not everybody wants to be on camera. Not everybody is as obsessed with being on camera as you are. Some people would prefer to have a one-on-one conversation with you without having a camera shoved in their face. If you really wanted to talk to the man, you would have talked to him without the camera.
I'm here to
For what, Chille? We know what you're really there for. You were there to incite. You were there to get this guy onto a camera and begin to insult officers, yell at this guy probably, and just be radical and obnoxious. You needed it so you could get your clicks and your views. Otherwise, your video wouldn't score high enough and you wouldn't be able to monetize this one. You're trying to do anything you can to keep a monetized channel, but yet still get in people's faces and be aggressive with them. He already figured you out. He didn't have to stand there for more than 2 seconds to know what was going on. Don't even go there, you piece of shit.
I mean, this is our government. If you turn a camera on, then government doesn't want anything to do with transparency. And it's so funny though, because if you look around this building, there's cameras over there. There's cameras everywhere. There's cameras there. I mean, there's cameras everywhere you look in here. There's cameras there. There's cameras there. There's cameras right there.
And we all know what those cameras are for. They're for security. They aren't there to record people to then broadcast it on YouTube. you're being utterly ridiculous when you say those things. It just makes you come across as even more stupid than you already do. Those cameras are only there for security. Nobody's monitoring them, and nobody is going to publish those videos to YouTube for profit, which is what you were intending to do with your camera. Completely different situation.
But as soon as we, I don't understand. I just don't understand. What a joke. What an absolute joke.
The only joke here was Chille. The fact that he thought he could just show up and talk to somebody without an appointment, first off, is a joke. Second off, if he was a legitimate journalist, he would have called ahead and set up a time for an interview with a person, probably their public information officer, their PIO, who was trained in interviewing with the media. That guy may have been an investigator. He may have been one of the assistant attorney generals. We don't know because this conversation didn't even last long enough for him to know. But this is what's the problem with Chille. He doesn't understand how things work. He should have scheduled a time to come in. Obviously, if he was going to have them review videos, it was going to take more than just a happenstance that he might bump into the attorney general between meetings. He needed to set up an appointment and come in as a legitimate journalist, if that's what he wants to call himself, and have an interview, not an ambush in the lobby of somebody who was totally not understanding what he was walking into. I have no problem with the fact that that gentleman said, I'm not going to be a part of this, and he walked away.
I mean, what an absolute joke. You have to turn off your camera if you're going to talk to the government.
Once again, Chille says something that is absolutely false. I'm not surprised at all. Of course you can film the government. Of course you can do an interview with a person. He could have, if he was a legitimate journalist, scheduled a time to come in and have an interview on camera with somebody from that office. But by showing up unannounced without an appointment and trying to conduct ambush journalism in the lobby of somebody who was totally unprepared for what was coming at him, he probably had not had time to review the Sheets matter. He may not have even been familiar with the Sheets matter because it took place in one part of Ohio and this guy is in another part of Ohio. This guy might be an investigator who is tasked with one area of the state and not the area where the Sheets matter occurred. Anybody who's going to appear on camera is going to want to at least have reviewed the file to be able to honestly answer questions. What would Chille have gained had he been able to interview this person? There would have been nothing that this man could have answered. Didn't have any of the answers because he wasn't familiar with the topic. This is utterly ridiculous, and the fact that Chille can't understand that just shows you how absolutely stupid he is.
You have to turn off. You're not allowed to talk to the government on camera, but they'll put 50 cameras in a lobby to film you. There's cameras in the elevators. There's cameras when you walk in. There's cameras everywhere, but we don't get to roll our cameras here. I just don't even understand. And you guys realize, right, as I sit here right now, I'm the center of their focus. There's a man with a camera here. I mean, right now, there's no less than 6 people looking at me.
Only a true narcissist would believe that all those people, 6 of them, are all there looking at him. If anything, they're probably looking at him, trying to figure out why he's talking to his phone. If he was just up trying to interview somebody, why is he now talking to his phone like that? I doubt that anybody was actually even looking at him.
There's no less than 6 people right now watching every move I make. There's a guy there. There's a woman there. There's a cop right there. There's a guy over there pretending like he's on the phone. He's not.
So really, Chille can tell that that man isn't on his phone, that it's all an act. He can hear the person on the other end. He can tell that the police officer or the person that's standing there just appears to be talking on the phone because they're all really there just to watch him. If that doesn't just tell you what a narcissist this guy is, the world is not a giant movie all about Jose de Castro and what Jose de Castro is doing at any given moment. Everybody else has lives. The world does not revolve around Chille. They aren't paying any attention to him. He just doesn't grasp that. He thinks he's such a big celebrity and that he's such a thorn in the side of government when the truth is he's not even a flea on their back, but he's such a narcissist that he thinks that everyone is watching every move he makes. It's ridiculous. My father used to tell me that I probably wouldn't worry about what people thought about me if I realized how seldomly they actually do. And, I'm pretty sure he probably didn't make that up, and he probably got it from somebody else, but that doesn't mean it isn't true. People really seldomly think about us. We think about ourselves a lot more than they think about us. For example, did you find yourself today asking yourself, hey, I wonder what FN is doing today? Hey, I wonder if FN is going to work on another video or if he's going to put out another video today. No. For another example, I didn't think about whether Uncle Artie is working on a video until just now, just to come up with an example. In fact, I haven't thought about Uncle Artie since, I don't know, I watched a live stream of his a few days ago. Nobody thinks about you like that. I wish Chille would get over himself so that he would realize that people really aren't thinking about him.
There's 4. There's 4. There's 4 people sitting around me watching me. So let me tell you guys what happened. Last week when I was in Youngstown, do you remember when I said someone was following me? You remember that?
One of the symptoms, I've talked about this before, but one of the symptoms of a narcissistic personality is that they have these delusions. And Chille has suffered these for many, many years. For example, he's been convinced for years that the FBI, CIA, or some agency of the government is going to kill him. He is absolutely in a state of, I don't know, he sees things where they just don't exist. First off, nobody was probably following him. And there are not 4 people standing around filming his every move, writing down everything he does, or recording everything he says.
The Airbnb that I had rented and I was staying at, the Airbnb host was a really cool human being. And what happened was, when I was when I was checking out, I had built a pretty good rapport with the guy who was renting the Airbnb, and he came up to me, and he said, "Hey, let me show you this," and he showed me a message on Airbnb, and the message said, "I want you to know that at this address, the address I was renting," he said, "Chille DeCastro is staying there, and he has been spreading anti-cop, anti-government propaganda."
What, you Chili say it isn't so? No way, man. You've never said anything cross about a police officer. You've never called them pigs. You've never called them tyrants. You never said they want to throw people in dungeons, put them in torture cuffs. No, please, Chili, say it isn't so. That's not what you said, right? Yeah, right.
And if I were you, I wouldn't rent to him. That's the Airbnb message that the host got. So they were following me. Someone followed me to my residence where I was staying, stalked me, and then looked up the address, found out it was Airbnb, looked up who the owner of the Airbnb was, and
Or what more likely happened, and I know some of this is a fact, you said on multiple live streams that you were staying at an Airbnb. You have filmed yourself live, and the address was probably visible. They then used that address and the fact that it was an Airbnb to find the owner, and then they sent the owner the information about you. They didn't have to stalk you. They didn't have to track you. You put it all out there. You so frequently dox yourself that it's ridiculous. And the fact that you would get on camera and say these lies when the information is already there. It's ridiculous, Chili. It's ridiculous.
sent them a message where they had attempted to rent out the unit in 2023. They put a rent date of 2023, and then the note they attached, I think they put the rent date so far in advance so they could cancel. And they put a rent date, and then they left a note saying exactly that, and put the exact address I was at. And I still haven't gotten the screenshot from him yet, but I think he will send it.
If the person who did that is watching this video, good on you, man. Or good on you, woman. Way to go.
So, is that how the state attorney general is going to respond? Is that how the state attorney general is going to respond? I know. Well, you're security, so I just.
You can really pretty much hear what Chili's thinking. Right when he says that, you can hear what's going through his head. He's thinking, yeah, you're just security. You're like that janitor. I can talk to you any way I want. You don't know anything. You're just one of those lowly servants that's there to clean up my messes. You don't mean anything. You're just security.
It is what it is. Can you call the State Attorney General's office, Mr. Dave Yost, and let him know I'd like to drop off at least some documents so that he can take a look at the documents that I brought? I mean, I've driven a long way, and I'm nonviolent. I haven't cursed. I haven't screamed. I haven't been inappropriate.
My supervisor's right there. That's my supervisor.
Okay, can you just call up to the office and tell him?
I have to ask the supervisor. My
Okay.
supervisor's right there. If you want to ask him.
Okay, that'd be
Yes,
great.
okay.
I'd appreciate it. He's the supervisor? Who's the supervisor?
Yeah, we both are.
You both are?
Supervisor, yep.
Okay, so these guys work here. There's security here. I don't know you guys. I have nothing against you. I came here to talk to the State Attorney General, Dave Yost.
Okay.
I've driven a long way.
Okay.
I'm a nonviolent investigative journalist. I love America. I'm pro-America all the way. I'm not a sovereign citizen.
Yeah, right. And for Chili to say he's not a sovereign citizen is like me trying to say I'm not driving. I'm traveling. That's ridiculous. Chili is a sovereign citizen to the nth degree.
I have no violent intentions at all whatsoever. I teach petition, assembly, peacefully protest. I teach it to thousands and thousands of people.
Chille's as much of a teacher as I am a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. My fat ass couldn't put a swimsuit on if you paid me.
In Struthers, Ohio, there was a murder. It's plain as day. It was a murder. The cops murdered a guy. I went to try to track the state attorney general down in Toledo. He wasn't there. I've come here. I've rented Airbnbs. I've stayed in hotels. One of the guys came down from the state attorney general's office. As soon as he saw the camera was on, he said, "I'm not going to talk to you if the camera's on." I'm a member of the press. It's my right. You guys can't even stop me from going into the building. This is my building. This is our building.
Right.
You know,
We didn't stop you from coming in.
Well, clearly they didn't stop you from coming in the building, but they can stop you from going any further past the security stop, where you have to go through the checkpoint, probably be scanned, at least to check for metal objects. But more importantly, Chille, that's not your building. If indeed it's a public building, then it belongs to the public as a whole. It belongs to the public in general, but not to any one particular person. If you understood the Constitution, the way at least you claim you do, or you had read any case law, you would understand that that's the way things work. But we've already seen that you don't understand how a lot of things work.
So
well,
you're fine.
they said earlier I couldn't come in without showing my ID, and I'm a constitutional law scholar. That is not true.
I honestly don't want to be repetitive, so I'm not going to really repeat myself here. But if Chille had any understanding of the Constitution, and he was truly a constitutional law scholar, he would know that that's not true, that the process of having to show identification has zero implications on his Fourth Amendment rights. There's nothing in the Constitution that prohibits the government require you show identification before you can come in to a public building.
I can go into any publicly funded. I understand going through security measures, and even that could be considered a violation of my Fourth Amendment right.
You know, I think it was the comedian Jeff Foxworthy who used to go, "Duh, duh, duh, here's your sign."
But I'm willing to do it because I believe in safety. I'm not for a security state, but so I just wanted to present my documents and show them the documents. You know, I mean, like how much more calm can I be? How much more peaceful can I be? I have 500 videos I've put out. Like,
We can get something to them, but I mean, did he already come? He came down and talked to you.
he came down.
So,
He
okay.
came down and talked to me, but then he just walked away when the camera was. I'm not going to talk to you with the camera on. That's the
Do
whole.
you want to leave that
That's
for him? Do you want to leave some documents for him? Or?
no. I want someone else to come down from the state. I've driven a long way. I mean, I've put a lot of effort into
Are
what.
you wanting just to give your documents to someone?
No, I
or
want
what
someone
do
to take my complaint. I want someone to take this seriously. A guy was murdered. It's on camera. They plant the gun. I mean, does anybody? Why is the camera like raid? I'm not spraying a chemical on your face. You know, I'm not a violent person. I don't
I
understand.
can't really. I mean, if they came down and talked to you already, I can't. You know, I don't.
Well,
work
can
for
you
them, so
can
I
you
don't
call him
understand.
again and tell him he's still here and he would? I mean, I haven't even cursed. Like, what more can I do to get the government to help? Tell me.
I mean, if you want to leave documents,
Tell me how
for him,
more-
I can make sure that he gets those.
The woman has already told Chille she doesn't work for the Attorney General's office. And what more could he want? He wants to drop the paperwork off, correct? He wants to leave the videos, correct? He could email all of that stuff to the Attorney General directly. Not to one of his assistants, not to a secretary, not even to an investigator. He could email it directly to that man, Dave Yost, who is the elected Attorney General of the state. But no, that's really not what Chille wants. He wants to get somebody down there that he can berate and yell at and try to cajole and convince that there was something nefarious that happened wherever it was that James Sheets was shot. But, you know, he doesn't want to just leave the paperwork. Most normal people would just say, yes, ma'am, here, I'll leave this for him and I'll email him the videos. But that's not what Chille really wants. And we all know it. We all can see through it.
There's a video he has to see. I have a video that he needs to see. He needs to see the video.
Can you email to them, or have you
It's
tried
it's
to
on
email
my
them?
channel. It's on Delete Laws.
Okay.
I mean, there's tens of thousands of people following this story.
Tens of thousands of people is a bit ambitious, I think. I went back and I looked at Chille's channel. The video entitled Full Video James Sheets Murder has 5,500 views, of which I'm probably 3 of them because I've downloaded it and watched it a couple times. There's probably a half dozen more people who have done the same. So we're talking like 5,500 total views. There's not tens of thousands of people watching this video.
Not small.
I can't, like I said, I don't work for them, so I can't really, if they don't
So-
want to come down, I can't
So
make them
if
come down.
if you
but-
have a camera, and I put you guys on camera for a second. I took you off because I'm not trying to make you. I told him I wouldn't put him on camera. I've identified myself. I'm easy to find. So why can't they take the information? What?
I can call him. I can call him, and I just ask him, just tell me you want just a few minutes.
I mean, he
to talk to
doesn't
somebody.
have to be on camera.
Okay.
But there's so many people watching, and
From my experience, having watched a lot of Chille's live streams, he averages around 500 to 550 people at a time watching his lives, and that's considerably less during the day, like he would have in this particular video. He filmed this during the day, so there wouldn't even be 500 people watching.
paying attention. I'm not going to cut them off.
Let me give him a call, and I'll relay that to him. Like I said, I don't work for them, so I can't make a decision for them, but I can relay that to him, and then we'll just kind
It's
of
like-
go from there.
Yeah.
So is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do appreciate you
What is
trying.
your first name, sir?
My name is Jose. My name is Jose DeCastro. I have a channel on YouTube called Delete Laws.
Okay.
I'm not trying to hide who I
My
am.
phone's over here, so I'll
Yeah,
grab it.
thanks.
That was the first time I saw that he gave his full name to security. He hadn't given his name or identification to the security desk at that point.
I mean, how much more peaceful can I be? Like, don't people come in here ranting and raving and cursing? Right. Like, I'm not doing any of those things, and I typically never do.
What's your YouTube page again?
Delete Laws,
Delete Laws.
because we just have too many bad laws. Too many bad.
Yeah.
You can be pulled over because your car looks suspicious.
You cannot be pulled over just because your car looks suspicious.
What's a suspicious car look like? It looks like your car. I see no reason to be rude to you folks. I don't agree with the.
Nobody exuviates.
Yeah, why would?
disrespect to you, right?
Yeah, why would I be mean to anybody who's just here? But I just don't understand this kind of treatment. I've driven a long way. I've put a lot of time in. I'm not, and James is dead. So, there's a.
He's a friend of yours.
He's a guy that I found out about through his wife. He left behind 5 kids.
He's gonna call me right back, okay?
No problem. No problem. I'm sure, like I was telling him, people scream and yell and act irrational and like jerks and call you filthy names. And
You mean like how you call cops pigs and tyrants, or how you called that janitor all kinds of filthy names?
I haven't.
We do get that sometimes
Yeah,
too. So.
right. I don't.
It's all the nature of the job, right?
Tough skin.
Yeah, we do. It doesn't,
I
it
mean,
doesn't bother me.
but
so.
I haven't done any of those things,
And I appreciate
and I
that,
don't
so.
plan on doing any of those
I
things.
appreciate that.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure they appreciate that. So.
Yeah, why would I be mean to them?
Yeah.
I respectfully told the man I'll identify who I am, but I'm not going to show you my ID, and he had no problem with it. He said, "Let me call up." That's I mean, obviously I'm going to go through a security detector,
Where are you from? You said you came from a long quick?
Yeah, I'm from Los Angeles.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, I've been traveling the country for the past 6 months.
Yep, he's been traveling the country for the last 6 months, living on other people's money, crashing on other people's couches, collecting his donations. Ah, drives me crazy.
Just to show the people that in every city, every state, every county, we're living in a total state of tyranny. This is not rule of law. I teach rule of law. Rule of law is there's 4 principles. The first one is the government and its agents are accountable under the rule of law, and they stand under it, not above it. We are above it as the citizens. So if the government's no longer accountable to the people and the cops can arrest you, they have immunity, the judge has immunity, the prosecutor has immunity, and the legislator has immunity, where's rule of law? Where's every person who can ruin you and put you in a dungeon has immunity for doing it to you? And we're seeing now that the cameras everywhere, that everyone has a camera in their pocket. People are getting out of jail every day, 5, 10 years. I didn't do it. I was innocent. It's ubiquitous. It's in every city, every county.
So you travel around the
I travel
United
all
States?
around the United States.
Okay.
Arizona, I was in Arizona for a while. Corrupt. Ohio's one of the most corrupt places I've ever been. Texas, corrupt. What we did is,
Sorry, excuse me.
go ahead.
Alrighty, thank you. Bye. They will be right down. Somebody will be right down.
Great, and I don't have to put them on camera.
Okay.
People can just hear their voice so they can hear that they're actually taking this seriously. I mean, when you see the video, I don't want to cry, it's horrific. Literally, they hunted this guy down, they planned it all together, and they killed him.
They will be right down with you, sir.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
give just a few minutes if you just want to have a seat over there. Or
Yeah, no problem,
stand
no
up
problem.
here, so either one.
Yeah, you
So-
guys can watch the videos. Go to Delete Laws and watch them. Just it's real slow motion, just watch them. The guy doesn't have a hand shaped like this. The gun's in the floorboard. What are you talking about? He planted the gun. It's so obvious. It's really sad. And
As long as you're respectful and you respect them,
I
help you down, you can
haven't-
have a few minutes with them.
I haven't been mean, and I won't be mean. I want their help. I just want the people to see, what's really happening. When I'm the governor of either this state or California or Alaska or wherever I decide to run for governor, because I'm running for governor, and I get executive power, which is really the president of a state, I'm going to wear a headset. People can see every single bill I sign, every single piece of legislation will be signed. They get to read every bit of it, because that's the second principle of law.
If anybody wants to read any bill before any legislative body, every state has them online. The federal government has it online. You can go and view it online. You can call your congressman or senator and ask them to mail you a paper copy of it if you want to then have a paper copy to read and write all over and mail it back to them with suggestions. I mean, come on. You don't have to have a headset on. You want to read it, read it. But people that follow Chille, they're not going to be adventurous enough to do that.
Legislation is easy to read and understandable.
See, now that just makes me wonder about Chille. Because most legislation, if you have even a high school education, well, wouldn't even go that far. If you probably have an 8th grade or a 9th grade education. For most people, if you want to read the legislation, you can read it. It's not unintelligible. It's not written in legal language. There's not a bunch of Latin phrases that you're going to have to go to Black's Law Dictionary and look up just to see what the Latin phrase means. Speaking of which, that's the only reason you would ever need Black's Law Dictionary, is to go look up a term or a phrase. It's not actually law. But anyway, if you want to read the legislation, for the most part, anybody with a decent education can read a piece of legislation. And almost every single piece, especially in the federal system, there will be a synopsis at the top that summarizes the entirety of the entire piece of legislation. So that way, if you end up with a piece of legislation that's, let's say, 100 pages long, you might be able to read a 3-page summary of what it says just at the top.
It's not happening. You got. Okay. So I understand you don't want to be put on camera. I will not. Okay, I'll put it down. I'm just. Why? Sir, why? I don't understand. Hold on, I'll turn it off for you, sir. I'll turn it off, okay? He asked me to turn it off. I'm going to turn it off, guys. I'm sorry. James Sheet's death is more important. I'll come back on, guys. I'm sorry. I got to go. I need to get this done. I love you. I'll see you soon.
And that's the end of his video. He cuts it off there because he has to. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've used my own voice in this one. I've been reluctant to do so mostly because I have had some oral surgery and it causes my jaw to get sore if I talk too much. But that was about 10 days ago, so it's getting better. If you've heard me speaking a little funny, it's because I am having some jaw pain, and I am kind of glad that the video is over at this point. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video and you haven't already done so, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Give me a like. Leave me a comment if you like my channel trailer. But other than that, thanks for watching.